There are certain things about my wife's Tesla that I really hate. You know what? Scratch that. Saying these are things I hate about our Tesla may be a bit of an overreach. These are more like minor inconveniences. Some of them came really easy to me, others I had to think about for a minute. At the time of recording this video, we've owned our Tesla Model 3 long range for just about 6 months, and we've put over 8,000 miles on the vehicle. This has given us plenty of time to get settled in and understand some of the minor nuances of the vehicle. Since this channel was started to help new or prospective Tesla owners, I wanted to share the 5 things that just annoy me about our Tesla Model 3. Putting the car into reverse, the car seems to want to put itself back in park for me. Now, I have this really weird habit of when I back up, I use my left foot to provide a little bit of extra leverage for me. As I'm turning around, looking out the rear window, I'm actually pushing myself up out of the seat a bit to get a better view outside the back window. Yeah, I know there's a rear camera on the car, so there's really no reason to twist myself around to look out the back window when I could just easily look at the rear camera. Old habits are really hard to break sometimes. Anyway, when I do this, when I twist around and I'm pushing myself up off the seat, the Tesla seems to think that I'm not in my seat any longer and will put the car back in park. Kind of makes sense. Safety feature. Somebody steps out of the car for some reason, it's going to put itself back in park. It's a really minor concern, and I could completely alleviate that by just using the rear camera when I back up. The blind spot indicator on the screen. This is one that I'm having a really hard time getting used to. In previous vehicles we've owned, there's always been a blind spot indicator on the side mirrors. It's a little light that turns on when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. Really intuitive. You're looking at your side mirror to change lanes, and if there's a vehicle in your blind spot, the light on the side of the mirror is on. Now with the Tesla, it's quite the opposite. To change lanes, I'll look in my side mirror to make sure there's nobody coming up in one of the lanes that I'm trying to merge into. Then if I want to check the blind spot indicator, I have to divert my attention from the mirror to the center screen, check out the camera display to make sure there's no one in my blind spot. In that moment, it takes my attention away from what I'm trying to do by merging into the other lane, and it's forcing me to look at the center screen for the camera display. Now, granted, it's kind of slick to be able to check the camera display to see if there's anyone in your blind spot, but it's kind of a clunky design in that I have to look back to the center of my vehicle off the road and determine if there's anyone in my blind spot. I just am having a really hard time getting used to this one. And I find myself going back to my old ways of looking over my shoulder to make sure there's no one in my blind spot for the lane I'm merging into.
Now, I do love using autopilot, especially on the freeway. It's also proved its value in certain situations on city streets, and I find myself using it quite often. Now, having said that, it does have its limitations and quirks. If I want to change lanes on the freeway, autopilot disengages. The fact of the matter is, if you change lanes often on the freeway, you are constantly re-engaging autopilot, and it gets kind of annoying. And yes, I know I can upgrade to enhanced autopilot to fix this little nuance, but quite honestly, that's not something we're entertaining right now given the cost. Now, when using it on city streets, it doesn't handle cornering very well with reduced speeds that are posted, and you'll find itself disengaging. And occasionally you'll get that phantom braking, especially on city streets, where the car just decides to apply braking for whatever reason. Now, don't get me wrong, I dig autopilot, I use it on a regular basis, just some minor quirks make it really annoying.
There's some weird nuances when I'm shifting into gear. I hop in the car, put my phone on the charger, and tap the brake to get things started. Apply the brake, push up on the right stalk to put the car in reverse, and nothing happens. It seems like when I first get into the vehicle, if I'm going into reverse or drive, I have to push up twice or pull down twice on the right stalk in order to actually put it into gear. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough where I find that it kind of annoys me. For the life of me, I can't figure out why it won't go into gear on the first push up or pull down. Again, more of a minor inconvenience, and it's something that I've quite frankly gotten used to. And the one thing that I find to be the biggest pain in the ass is the auto door unlock feature. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great concept. You walk up to the vehicle with your phone in your hand, pull on the handle, the door unlocks. I find it just doesn't work for me the way I expect it to. Here's the problem. I carry my phone in my back pocket the majority of the time. When I approach the vehicle and pull on the door handle, the car stays locked. I typically have to turn myself around, position my rear end so it's facing the door, and then the door will unlock for me. Kind of makes it look like I'm grinding up against my Tesla. It's actually kind of embarrassing. Now, I will add, this doesn't seem to happen all the time, but it does happen the majority of the time for me. I don't have any issues when I carry my phone in my hand. The door simply unlocks when I approach it. I only have this challenge when I'm carrying my phone in my rear pocket. Are any of these valid enough reasons that I just hate owning a Tesla? Absolutely not. These are really minor items that we've noticed over the last 6 months, and it's just taking a bit to get used to. These most certainly did not stop me from buying another Tesla. You can check those details out in the card I'm posting at the top of the screen here. And I do absolutely love the Tesla brand. And by the way, if anyone has any suggestions to help me overcome these annoyances that I'm facing, please feel free to leave a comment below and educate me. We'll see you guys in the next video.